Good morning and welcome into the Coaches Show here on October 30th. We've got lots of great things to discuss from college football and Wildcat and Lady Cat sports in review this week. We'll go ahead and jump right into the college football. Texas playing at Baylor at 11 a.m. Always a good game between those two Texas schools in the Battle of I-35. Baylor comes in the game 6-1, 16th in the nation, and Texas still reeling a bit as they are 4-3 overall, and Baylor could eliminate Texas from Big 12 contention altogether. So look for a very good game at 11 a.m. on ABC between the Texas Longhorns and the Baylor Bears. Moving over to another game at 11 a.m., we've got the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy as the Michigan Wolverines will be taking on the Michigan State Spartans. Good Big Ten game to watch as both of those teams are in the top 10 and both in the top 8. Michigan number 6 and Michigan State just 2 spots behind at 8. Should it be a great game, and always a great game between those two schools in the state of Michigan. That game can be found at 11 a.m. on Fox. Moving over to 1 p.m., we got a Conference USA matchup between two Texas schools. The UNT Mean Green are traveling to Houston to take on the Rice Owls. UNT having a bit of a tough season as they are 1-6 overall. Rice 3-4, but no doubt the UNT Mean Green going to try and get that second win on the season again when they travel to Houston to take on the Rice Owls. That game can be caught at 1 p.m. on ESPN3. And then world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It's time for the Georgia-Florida game. The University of Georgia comes into the game number 1 in the nation and 7-0. The Florida Gators, not as much as they are 4-3, and they will no doubt look to get a big win over their rival, the Georgia Bulldogs, when those two teams take the field in Jacksonville at 2:30 p.m. on CBS. Another good game to watch at 2:30 p.m. are the Texas Tech Red Raiders taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. In a couple years past, perhaps more so when Patrick Mahomes was there quarterbacking for the Red Raiders. Very good competition between those two schools and those programs for a number of years. Texas Tech did, unfortunately, or depending on how you feel about it, let go of their head coach, Matt Wells, and so they've got a new interim coach this weekend, and tough one, no doubt, to be taking on the Oklahoma Sooners, 8-0 and number 4 in the nation in Norman. So that'll be a tough game for the interim head coach. And best of luck to the Red Raiders, as that will be a tough matchup again as OU continues to roll with their new quarterback, Caleb Williams. That game can be found at 2:30 p.m. on ABC. Another good Big 12 matchup to watch is the TCU Horned Frogs traveling to the Little Apple to take on the Kansas State Wildcats. TCU is 3-4, Kansas State just a game ahead at 4-3, and one thing's for sure, Gary Patterson loves to coach up his teams, and winning in Manhattan, Kansas is no easy feat, so he will have to pull out all of his bag of tricks that he can to get the win in Kansas versus Kansas State. That game can be found at 2:30 p.m. on ESPNU. Another good game to watch at 6 p.m. is Ole Miss taking on Auburn. Ole Miss is 6-1 and number 10 in the nation. Auburn number 18 and 5-2. That game can be found at 6 p.m. on ESPN. And then last game I've got time to mention are the SMU Mustangs. They are 7-0, number 19 in the nation, and they are traveling to Houston to take on the Cougars, and the Cougars are 6-1, so just a game behind the SMU Mustangs. I actually had the pleasure of going to the game last year, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Very close contest between those two schools, and I expect a very similar one tonight at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. Well, folks, that's your college football in review. There are plenty more games to watch, so for all you college football fans, you've got T-minus 2 hours to start tuning in. But for Wildcat and Lady Cat sports in review, volleyball, they are already moving on to the playoffs. In fact, Monday will be their playoff game, but their week in review was on Tuesday. They made the trip out to Longview to take on the Lady Lobos. The game had a bit of a delay, and I apologize for that, folks, but they did eventually eke out a 5-set win versus the Longview Lady Lobos. They're second on the season, and coincidentally enough, they're second against the Longview Lady Lobos. So congratulations to them on getting that tough win. And then last night at the SSMS gym, they hosted the Caddo Mills Lady Foxes for their warm-up game prior to Monday's bi-district contest. Unfortunately, they dropped to Caddo Mills but in 4 sets. So tough loss, but no doubt they will have to rebound quickly if they want to emerge victorious on Monday when they take on the Lufkin Lady Panthers. Lufkin, last time I checked, was 37-4 if they won their warm-up game, which I suspect they did. That would make them 38-4. So, and they did go 10-0 in their district season, 16-5A. So a tough contest, no doubt, for Coach Bailey Dorner and her program. But one thing's for sure, it'll be a good contest nonetheless. That contest, that by-district round of the playoffs, will be on Monday at 7 p.m. at Tyler High School. Tickets must be bought with debit or credit. Cash will not be accepted. So just want to put that out there. And then cross country. The Lady Cats cross country team and a Wildcat cross country runner traveled out to Garland earlier this week and participated in the Region 2 5A championship meet. And Evan Patrick had a pretty solid day as he placed about middle in the field of placing, and the Lady Cats had a number of good runners placing and getting good times, but unfortunately didn't pull out enough to move on to the state meet, which is in Round Rock, Texas at Old Settlers Park. But I spoke with Coach Ross Hicks at the football game last night during halftime, and he said he was very proud of his students. They worked hard. They gave it their all season long, and that's all that he wanted. So no doubt, again, they wanted to move on, but he was proud of his girls and Patrick for competing all season long and representing Sulphur Springs very well. And then middle school football, both A and B teams are 7-0 in an 8-game season, so just one contest left. So congratulations to Coach Eddie Flores and his 8th grade A and B teams for continuing to roll all the way throughout their season, and no doubt hoping to get that final win on the season and close out an undefeated middle school season. Then Wildcats Golf, they win their third contest of 4 next Monday on November 1st. And then one thing I've got to mention before we go to a commercial break, and then we'll be joined by Coach Owens, head football coach and athletic director at SSISD, is that the Lady Cats basketball team, they will be in action today. It'll be a scrimmage today, and that's over in Lone Oak. And then it's a tri-match between Lone Oak, Cumbie, and Sulphur Springs. And then Tuesday will be their home opener. And then Friday will be their regular season opener, and on Friday they will host Prestonwood. Tuesday will be I believe it's a quad match if I'm not mistaken, but the action will start on Tuesday at 5 p.m. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be joined by Coach Greg Owens. Welcome back to the Coach's Show here on October 30th, and joining us today is Coach Greg Owens, head football coach and athletic director of SSISD. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Yes, sir.
So would you care to comment on any of the teams I mentioned prior to commercial?
Yeah, just congratulations again. I think we talked about it last week, our cross country, and they didn't finish at the top where they wanted to in the regional meet, but a great job of getting there and competing. Like you said, basketball's all kicking off. All that stuff's going on right now, and it's all over the place. So they're getting after it. And just to make sure, I'm going to say it one more time. You said it. The volleyball is at the old John Tyler, which is Tyler High in Tyler, playing against Lufkin, and that ball game is at 7. We originally posted 6:30, but Tyler Athletics changed it to 7 for us, so that'll be there. And all tickets are sold at the gate, but they'll all be online, so be prepared for that when you go. And adults are 5 and students are 3. And so best of luck to our ladies in that.
Yeah, should be a great contest. And then moving over to the football team, another tough loss at home, this time versus Forney. And while it was another heartbreaking loss, your offense was able to rack up 28 points. Your QBs accounted for 3 of 4 touchdowns, plus a couple of explosive plays to boot.
Yeah, it was, it's another hard one to swallow. I mean, just kids battled. I mean, overall, they played their tails off. We got after it. All that was great, just doing, we just, had a hard time finishing at the end, and a lot of it was self-imposed, and just couldn't overcome some of that stuff. So just some things that they're frustrating, and it's hard to get over the hump with all that stuff. And congratulations to Forney. Forney's played a ton of games like that all year. They've won in overtime. They've come back and won, and they're just a solid football team that plays really well. They kept their composure, and they made plays when they had to make them. And unfortunately, we kind of stumped our toe again in some areas, and that just hurt. But kids fought their tail off. I'm proud of them. They've battled for every ball game we've had, and we know we just got to find a way to get over that hump and get us one.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And as I was typing up my story last night, I was just talking about how 27 seniors were honored last night at senior night. And, obviously, just like you're saying, you want the win, no doubt, no question about that. But to see them fight all the way to the end, and especially early, their defense was pretty emphatic, able to get a couple of stops. But Matthew Mitchell was out there the majority of the night. I know Coach Young's philosophy is going with the hot hand, but how'd y'all come about the decision to
well, Brady started the game really well. He got dinged up just a little bit, so he had to come out. He couldn't finish the ball game, so we'll see what his status is for this week. But compliments to Matthew. He hadn't been not to get him any snaps here lately in ball games, but he was prepared. When he came in, he did a great job, stepped in there, did what we needed to do, move the football team up and down the field, and so kudos to him for being prepared and getting ready to do that. And you never know. We tell them all the time how you're one play away. You don't ever know what's going to happen on the next play, so you've got to prepare yourself. And so we do a lot of cross-training with those guys and making sure that tries to happen. So, but he did a nice job of stepping in, taking care of business. So proud of that, and kept putting points on the board.
Yeah, and one negative, unfortunately, for the offense is that consistency, something we've been talked about, has been kind of an issue. A couple of drop balls early, staying ahead of the chains, continuing to be a tough slog.
Yeah, we have some opportunities that we just don't take advantage of. I mean, some of it's the catches. Drop balls has been a problem this year. Turnovers has been a problem. Those things have been some issues, and we keep moving guys around on the offensive line because of injuries here, injuries there, and stuff like that. So that consistency is not there, but when we have a chance to make a play, we got to make a play. And so, concentration, whatever it is. But some of those things, those hurt. And we had some opportunities last night again to put more points on the board. But again, because we dropped a few balls there, then some drives stalled out. So, again, you just got to keep working on it and keep pressing and try to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about capitalizing on opportunities, and something that's really been progressing more and more each week has been kind of the deep ball, and saw that with one play last night, C.J. Williams taking it 59 yards to the house.
Yeah, he caught him, and there were a couple other opportunities there we had for him too, but he caught one on an RPO just on the middle, and he beat his guy, set up the safety, and did a great job, and he did go. So that's been one of our main focuses all year, of trying to get him the ball in there. A lot of guys take that away. Their best cover guy was number one. So as CJ started to heat up, they took one out to the corner. They had him on top of Weston, who's been getting the deep ball on people. So they had him lined up there to try to take him away. Then when CJ got hot, they moved him and flipped him on top of CJ. So, that's a compliment to those guys. They're putting their best cover guy on them. We took some shots with Weston deep. We just didn't really connect on those things. Usually when you start having a breakout time and things pretty good, they start scheming to slow you down. So they put their best guy on Weston and tried to bang him up out there and disrupt his route where he didn't get a free release. And so when they do that too, it messes up your timing, so you can't always hit that. And so it's usually we're trying to get the ball out of our hands by 2 seconds on the fades and those things. You won't sit there and pat it very long, but and turn it loose. But anyway, they did a good job of doing that, moving guys around. But CJ had a really good night, and I don't know, I think he had 2 touchdowns, had some big catches. A lot of guys, did a great job. I just think about the last drive. I think about an earlier drive. Matthew connected, Mitchell, Glenn. I don't know, it's just we kept rotating receivers in. Just a lot. Reed Williams, he's making catches. We're just kind of moving the ball down the field, just kind of laid back, easy. Here we go. These are easy things. And then we just ran out of downs and we couldn't convert. So, but it was a good job of those guys continuing to do those things. And our running backs did a good job of catching the ball out of the backfield. That was a big night. JJ was on fire. He ran exceptionally hard. Now I told him after the game, he was out there tapping his head. I said, I've never seen you in all these years tap your helmet wanting to come out of a ball game. But that's just how much effort and energy he was giving, and he did a fantastic job of doing that. Big Douglas Deloney came in when we had to have a first down. It was 4th and 2. And so we put the big load in there, and he went and got it. And then he had also busted one for earlier than that for a touchdown. I think it's about a 20-yard run. So big man, we get him going, as we've talked about. We get him moving and going. He can do some big things. So proud of those guys and what they were doing. Guys just up there battling their tails off. I thought the offensive line got after people. We didn't really push people around, but we shielded enough, or we've had some creases and all that to get them open. So overall, I think a night for the offense. 28 points put on the board, so they did a good job. They answered, came out, go down, defense holds them to the field goal, we come back, we score. So it's those kind of things where they're gaining confidence and answering in those situations. Came out the second half, same thing, took the ball, go down the field and score. So those are good things. We see a lot of progress in that. So, but you just got to keep scoring. In today's football, you never know. You got to score as many as you can.
You're absolutely right. And when we return from a commercial break, we'll shift over to talking about that Wildcats D. Welcome back to the Coaches Show, and we're breaking down the loss last night versus Forney at Gerald Prim Stadium. As you were talking about before we went to commercial, the defense had a pretty solid game. Forney gets the ball to start the game. They start driving, but your defense is able to force a field goal. Your offense goes down and scores a touchdown, and then they go down again. But you're able to get an interception by Cordarian Bull Turner. Yeah,
but we've always given Bull a hard time about his hands and all that kind of stuff because he hadn't had always great, dependable hands. But he's got some interceptions this year, and he should have had another one the other night. He tipped one and ended up giving it to Kobe. But no, overall, Cordarian Bull, he had a phenomenal night. That's one of his better effort games, ball games, where he – I don't know if it's still a confidence deal with him, but he can dominate a game if he wants to dominate a game. But last night he was playing with some extra emotion. Maybe it's senior night, where those things happen too. But, he was coming down, laying some licks and getting guys on the line of scrimmage, and that's what we've been looking for. At the same time, he's been able to – I just think he was more disciplined last night. I think he was more focused. I think he was more disciplined because he's reading his keys and he's making tackles on the line of scrimmage. At the same time, he's playing the deep ball and getting interceptions. And he's kind of bouncing around. So that's the Bull we've been waiting on and been wanting to come out here consistently. But last night was a really good night for him. And it was a big one. He was an impact player last night.
And then you also mentioned the interception from Colby Albritton, but Coach McCain's led unit forced a punt and a turnover on downs, plus the 2 picks that we just mentioned. And while the D was not able to prevent field goal kicks, they were able to make some big-time stops and tackles to put your offense in a position to win.
Yeah. It's big when you force somebody to a field goal. That's a big deal. Force them to have to kick it. And we talked about this. I think we talked about this every week. But defensively, every defense has to settle in there. Their defense had to settle in our offense, who went down and scored for a possession. Their guys, had to settle in. Our guys have to settle in on their offense. So, it's one of those things that you just kind of get a feel for what they're trying to do, how they're going to attack you, what's the formation stuff look like. You can go into all those kind of things. But defense, slowed them down, and then forced a kick at the very beginning, and that was big. So you're not excited because they got points, but you're excited. Hey, they didn't get 7, they got 3, and so that's somewhat of a victory when you get them stopped like that. So, but yeah, they had to answer the call multiple times. We gave up some long ones too. A little shovel pass. They caught us on a blitz, and they got a little shovel pass in. It was about 40 yards out. So those things happen to you. We didn't give up the big ball that I can recall right now off the top of my head, but we did. We had some PIs in there but at the same time, kids are going to battle. They're not going to give the big one up, but they're going to keep playing. So defensively, we're outmatched in some areas inside, but they fought their tail off. They had some big linemen coming at us, and so our undersized guys in there, they were just battling. This morning I got a chance to see the video, and so it was just some hard matchups for them. But they got after it. They fought. After the ball game, coach was very complimentary. He said, "Coach, your kids fought their tail off," and they did. They've been doing it all year, and so proud of all that. Proud of those efforts. You mentioned Kobe. We talked about Kobe a little bit. Kobe's done a great job. Kobe's, I won't say the surprise guy, but he kind of is the surprise guy for our football team. He stepped into a punting role. He's done some slot receiver stuff for us. He's now come out and done things on kick return. He can go back and hold punts. hold for PATs, and then he's done a great job at corner for us, just coming in and just battling. He's just a savvy player. Like last night, the ball's in the air, it's a tip drill. He comes off his guy because he sees the ball instead of just standing and staying over there. Great effort play, and he dives and makes a fantastic interception. And as we talked about all year too, those turnovers are big. Those turnovers are momentum, that is emotion, all that kind of stuff. So it's a big-time deal. And our focus this year is trying to be turnover-oriented from day one with Coach McCain. His thing was we got to talk about turnovers. We got to celebrate it. We got to get after it every day, and we got to have fun. So every day in practice, when there's a turnover, no matter when it is, defense has a huge celebration. And you see that even on ball games. Coach Clayton, I'm watching the video, he's halfway out there on the field with it. So it's a big deal because it's very important in ball games. So, but no, defense did a great job of battling, playing with emotion, and playing their tail off.
Before we go to commercial, I know next week we'll do a whole show about the seniors
Mm-hmm.
and all of their accomplishments here in Sulphur Springs, but is there any other senior you want to give a shout-out to after last night?
Oh, you put me on the spot now, so now I'm going to be in trouble. I don't know. I just, as guys come to my mind, I just think of Griffin Crawford inside just battling his tail off, just watching him play. He did a great job. Kyron Cork had to step up and play a lot more minutes last night at nose. I mean, he did a fantastic job of just battling those guys in there. Carson Fenton, I just had to name all those guys. I said Dougie a while ago. Dougie had a good night, offensively, defensively, those kind of things. Sometimes with Dougie and even some other guys, one big play can really set the tone for their whole night. So that first play. So Dougie's was a little extra juiced up last night too. And again, senior night's an emotional night. It's an emotional time. They're just getting after it. I always talk about Coach Silman. He always plays his tail off. There's no, you don't ever question whether the coach's going to play hard or not. There's no doubt about it. So he gets after it. I'm going to stop right there. So I'll leave some of them out. We'll talk about all this kind of stuff next week, but just talk about their character and what they bring to the team and just their effort that they had. But, no, I'm proud of the guys. And, yeah, we're disappointed. We're just our jaws are dragging this morning, all that kind of stuff, that just because, you want to get that win and affirmation for your hard work and all that kind of stuff. But we're still battling. Got another one next week, so they'll get to strap them up one more time over at 40 Centybake.
And when we return, we will get a little bit of a preview from Coach Owens about the North Forney Falcons. Welcome back to the Coach's Show here on October 30th. Joining us today is Coach Greg Owens, head football coach and athletic director of SSISD. And we're going to get a preview now of the season finale next Thursday at North Forney. So, Coach, what can you tell us about the Falcons?
Well, let me my mind's going to work this way. I'm going to go to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because next week's a weird week for everybody. So your last fix of high school, junior high football. Monday night, our 7th grade will be playing one of our 8th grade teams at the Prim. So there'll be 2 ball games there. That'll be 5:30 and 6:30. On Tuesday night, our 8th grade A and B are going to host Marshall for their final ball game, which you talked about, undefeated seasons for the 8th grade A and B. Those guys will play on Tuesday. On Wednesday night, because of the Thursday night varsity game, on Wednesday night, our JV will be here, 5:30 or 6. And our freshmen will be at North Forney High School playing their final game. And then a Thursday night ball game for us will be against North Forney at Citibank, which is at Forney High School. So don't punch in North Forney, punch in Forney High School, Citibank Stadium. And my recommendation for you is not to go down Highway 80 at that time of day and all this stuff, because traffic is just crazy. I would go I-20, and then take an exit or two after Buc-ee's and come through the back way right there. It'll be easier and take you right to the stadium. So that's my recommendation for you. And that ball game is a 7 o'clock game, because anytime the Metroplex schools typically have 7 o'clock games, and because it's a Thursday night also, that's part of their deal, is 7 o'clock. So it's an early game. It's on a Thursday night. Everything's a little bit different. So you can tell we're getting close to Halloween. So all this stuff's going on. But those guys, they're dangerous. I'm just going to say, we were talking off air right here. A lot of us, which we've been talking about, Sulphur Springs, Greenville, North Forney, maybe even Crandall in that conversation, Corsicana, we're all about the same competitively. It just boils down to who makes plays in a ball game or who makes the fewest mistakes. That's kind of where it is. So this is another one of those ball games that it's going to be back and forth again. It's just another tight game, and if you like that kind of football, it's probably been for a fan to sit and watch ball games. It's been some good games. They're not blowouts either way. I mean, it's just kids playing hard, and it'll be no different with these guys. A change. Randy Jackson stepped down last year. This is one of his coordinators, Coach Luster, who's taken over for him. So they're trying to get his brand on it and trying to get things going. They had a bunch of seniors that graduated, so the whole program is trying to rebuild, and they're going to go. So it's also one of these schools that's climbing fast. I don't know. I think they might have turned in 2,200 on Friday. Schools, so they're growing. So they're going to be at least a big 5A, maybe a 6A. So it's just one of those schools too. They're just trying to deal with the influx of kids and people they've got moving in. So but I visited with Coach quite a bit, and a super nice guy, great to deal with. Their kids are going to be geared up. They're going to be ready, and they've had some talented kiddos. So we're looking for a challenging week. We're looking to get a W this year for these kiddos and go out with a win for these seniors and then come back and celebrate them next week.
And anything else you'd like to add, Coach?
Don't think so.
Well, then that'll do it for us here on the Coaches Show on October 30th. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm your interviewer, Ross Lebinsky. Joining us again is Coach Greg Owens, head football coach and athletic director of SSISD. Shooting video as us, for always, is Doug Haston, and station manager making everything you hear possible is all thanks to James Terry. So long, everyone. We'll see you next Saturday.